There are many people, especially in times of pressure or crisis, who find themselves asking questions about God, often secretly. Where is he? And if he is somewhere, how can I discover him? Is he a God who cares about human life, or is he little more than a big person to act as the target of our blame for our current hardship or grief or sadness or frustration? Now, this poem, Psalm 19, tucked away in the Bible, is a really helpful place to go when considering this big first order question of life. The poet, King David, who was the king of ancient Israel, unpacks for us several ways in which we can hear from God. And they're not what you might expect, especially that God actually reveals himself for us to connect with. The psalm falls quite neatly into three chunks. And in the first chunk, David looks around him at the cosmos. He's behaving like a scientist. He's looking around him and doing his best to make sense of it all. And what he observes is that the heavens are saying things to us about God. They declare his glory or his wonder. And here's how he puts it. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. Now that verb poured out or poured forth was the word used for a spring bubbling or producing refreshing cool water. There's a spontaneity, a never-endingness about it, and therefore about God's revelation, that refreshes people who take it on board. So, according to David, the human race cannot plead ignorance of God because he's always talking, he's always revealing himself. And we refer to this as general revelation, because anyone on earth can spot it if they choose. Now, this revelation is more than just information in a factual sense. He uses a very rich word which we have translated knowledge. It implies that there is wisdom and insight being revealed here through the facts that we can observe. And David goes on. The things that we see in the cosmos, they have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard from them, and yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. It's a paradox. No words, but anybody can hear it. God is constantly communicating, but there's not a single word in the air. God's witness to himself in the cosmos is unceasing, day after day, night after night, without even so much as a day off. And what is being revealed is the glory of God. Something of his wonder, his grace, his beauty, his consistency. These are all the things which make us go wow about God. Now, theologically, we describe this as the self-revelation of God through the cosmos. And for me, it's one of the compelling reasons why, for God-fearing people, we should be actively involved in science. Particularly today, because our knowledge of the cosmos is so much greater than it was in David's day, the vastness, the splendour, the order and the mystery of the universe reveals the vastness and the splendour and the order and the mystery of God himself. Johannes Kepler, the famous German astronomer and mathematician, remarked that in his work he was merely thinking God's thoughts after him. And the interesting thing about Kepler and men like him was that far from his faith being in a separate plane of life, his faith actually drove his science. Now, David in this psalm singles out the sun as a blindingly obvious example of God's handiwork. In the heavens, God has pitched a tent for the sun. Actually, of course, this tells us something about their cosmology. People in David's time considered the sky to be like a dome, a bit like a tent, and the sun travels across it every day. And then David extends the daily rising and setting of the sun with a couple of vivid pictures that open up God's character for us. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, or like a champion rejoicing to run his course. So there's a wedding and a race. At the wedding, the bridegroom, as their custom was, emerges to be joined by the bride's family. There's joy and celebration and wonder and anticipation and love in that moment. That's what it's like meeting God. And then there's the athlete, pounding around the track, putting every ounce of energy until he's won the race into his performance. He's reveling in his own strength, and nothing thrills him more than to run and to win. So God is a God of joy and of celebration and of wonder, as well as skill and strength and determination to achieve. And then in verse 6, David says, and nothing is deprived of its warmth. God made sure that no one was excluded from spotting him in his creation. Well, may we have eyes to see him in the world around us in a fresh way. Well, from here you can like, you can subscribe, and you can click elsewhere to see some more videos from this channel that I hope will feed your faith.